Hello and welcome. It's time to hear what's on my mind on this episode of the Trisha's 2 Cents podcast. I'm your host, Trisha. How do you respond when you see a stranger in need? You know, it's easy to help someone we know or someone we have a relationship or some kind of connection with. But how about a complete stranger? Someone that has a need. Someone that we don't have a connection with. It's easy to love those that we love, but it's harder to love those that we don't love. So how do we respond? It can be very challenging in this day and time, especially with the unknown motives of others. And we definitely have to use wisdom. But shouldn't we have love for people in general, as a whole? You know, I'm very confused when people say that they are Christians, but they clearly speak of hate or dislike against other human beings. And that goes against everything Jesus Christ and Christianity stands for. We live in a society that tries to, forget the poor because it's believed the poor wants to be poor. We live in a society that believes if someone doesn't share the same faith, that I am supposed to dislike them. And we also live in a society where compassion no longer exists. You know, Jesus said in Matthew 26:11 that the poor will always be with us. So we should be caring for the needy in a way that they won't always have to continue to be needy. You know, giving is good, yes, but what can we do to ensure that everyone is valued and that every life is loved, regardless of color or nationality? You know, what can we do in the moment when we cannot give? Because we might not be able to give ourselves at that moment. We might be in need ourselves. But you know what we can give? And that's immediate compassion. We can give immediate care to those that we come in contact with on a daily basis. As I said, you know, compassion no longer exists. It's as if people, are just compassionless. I feel like we barely see it. It's on a regular. I work with the public and people won't even say thank you anymore. They won't say please anymore. And they won't even say excuse me if they even bump into you. It's like there's no human kindness, no compassion, no love. Just the other day, I overheard a conversation about a homeless person that lives on a bench in front of the hospital that is on the street not too far from where I work. And I pass this bench every day on my way home. But the conversation was how the homeless person has overtaken the bench, with their items, their clothes. They've made it into their home because they have no home, obviously. So, and it was not a conversation on how this person can be helped. The conversation was on how the person has taken over the bench. So my question is, if there isn't a solution, why bring up the problem? Have you ever heard about the parable Jesus told about the Good Samaritan? And it is found, if you would like to read it for yourself, in Luke, the 10th chapter, the 25th through the 37th verse. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. And this road was known for robbers and thieves to hang out. Well, the robbers stripped him of everything he had, his clothes and everything, and they beat him and left him halfway dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and he saw the beaten man. And he saw the beaten man on his way walking down the road. So instead of helping him, he walked on the other side and kept going. Then there was a Levite who was also a man of the law who knew God's word. And he did the same thing. He saw the man beaten, half dead, but he chose to walk on the other side of the street to avoid him and kept going. But then there was a Samaritan who was passing by, and he saw the man beaten, left for dead. And when he saw him, he took pity on him. He dressed his wounds. He put the man on his own donkey. He brought him to an inn and took care of him. The next day, the man, the Good Samaritan, he paid the innkeeper and asked him to look after the man. And he said when he returned, he was going to pay the innkeeper for any extra expenses that he might incurred while he was taking care of the man. After this parable, Jesus asked, so which one of these people was the neighbor to the beaten man? Now, it wasn't the priest. The priest who, of course, knew God's word. It wasn't the Levite who also knew God's word. But it was the Good Samaritan who had mercy on the beaten man. And then Jesus said and commanded to go and do likewise. Now the priest, he should have been a person of compassion because of his position. He was a priest. The Levite, he was also a man of God's law, and he should have also known God's law of love, but he still failed to show mercy. But the Samaritan, who the people during that time, the Samaritans were considered low-class people in Jesus' day. That was the one who showed love and mercy towards the beaten man. So, what can we learn from Jesus' parable? And how can we apply it today? Knowing God's word, yeah, that's good. Yes. Having a title, okay, that's good. Telling everyone you're a Christian, okay, yeah, that's good. But the important thing is to show it, to live it, and to act on it. Love and compassion has to be shown to everyone. We don't also have to be hearers of God's word or ministers of God's word or just telling people about God's word. We have to be also acting on God's word, showing love, mercy, and compassion, even when no one's around to give you that attaboy or attagirl, you did a good thing. When no one is looking, that the only person that knows what you have done is you, that person, and God. We don't have to be recognized for everything that we do, because the only person that needs to know is within your heart that you have done the right thing. You don't have to have a title to do the right thing. You don't have to walk around with beating your chest to do the right thing. You just have to have the love of God and the compassion, knowing that at any given time, you could be in that same situation as that person that you are showing love and mercy and compassion to. Remember, Jesus died for everyone. He didn't pick and choose who he was going to die for. So why do we pick and choose who we're going to show compassion and mercy for? That's my question. Everybody deserves love. Everybody deserves compassion. And everybody deserves mercy. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Trisha's 2 Cents podcast. Join me on the next episode as I give life lessons through my experience, my growth, and always from my heart. Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite listening platform.